After his final year, Chris Flynn turns pro, but never gets a fair chance to show what he can do.
I know I'm not going to go into the first game and throw 5 touchdown passes or anything like that, but like I say, that's the only thing I'm looking forward to right now is just to make the team and to do well with Montreal, and I'll worry about the CFL and NFL later.
If I could do it over again, I would have tried out a receiver and safety, and I probably would have had a career at those positions. But I wanted to play quarterback just like everybody else wanted me to play quarterback too. And it probably hurt that I was well known back then, so the media really pressured the coaching staff to play me at quarterback.
I think with the CFL, they tend to look at your weaknesses as opposed to your strengths. And I think that's the situation with Chris.
I never cease to be amazed at Chris's ability to get out of trouble, to improvise, to ad-lib, and do many things that you wouldn't normally expect a kid to do to lead his team on to victory. I think his biggest asset is that leadership quality.
He was such a sensational player, like that Doug Flutie, very, very comparable. Only Chris was a bit bigger.
Matt Nealon was at the exhibition game when Chris Flynn got an abbreviated CFL audition.
You usually have 4 quarterbacks that are in camp. So I remember being at that game going, okay, great, here's Chris, he's gonna have his quarter, he can show him what he can do. He had 3 plays, first or second down, ran for 25 yards, threw 1 incompletion, and then they called a running play and handed off the ball, and that's the last we saw of him.
I tell people, to this day, I played in the CFL for 6 years, I've never seen it like Chris Flynn, never.
Coach Uteck it wasn't just about football with him. He was always worried about us in our school, make sure that we were finishing school. Even after school, he was always asking how we were doing, what we're up to, and stuff like that. So it's kind of transcends football when you have a person like that cares about not just winning, not just about football.
Larry was a very competitive person, and he gave everything he could. He didn't like to lose, but he was definitely not a sore loser. He was able to get on it and put it in perspective. And I suspect that teaching his players that football wasn't the be-all and end-all, and that it was just a means and part of your education and part of the development of you as a person and as a strong character was the ultimate message for him.
The one characteristic that I think is preeminent is the ability to look at an individual and see something in them that in some cases they themselves didn't even see, and to develop it and nurture it and mentor the individual.
Many of the guys that I played with, owe their careers and owe their families and their good fortunes to Coach Uteck, and the fact that he would take a gamble on them and saw something in them.
Larry Uteck became a city councilor in 1994 and then athletic director at St. Mary's a year later.
He definitely was taking on more responsibility than he probably should have, and I think it got down to the point where he was just doing way too much, and he was spreading himself thin.
I was in his office one day, and I had to get him to sign something. And he was fumbling around, signing it, whatever it was, And I said to him, what the heck's the matter with you? Didn't they teach you to write at Waterloo? And he said, Dougie, he said, I got some problems. I'm losing feeling in my hand and all this stuff, and I'm having some tests done and all that kind of stuff. Boy, did I feel bad about that. But he kind of laughed and said, I'm going to be all right. And that was the first of it. He was being tested then.
As a counselor, Uteck led the long-awaited project to clean up the city's harbor.
It was one of the things that he was like, I don't understand, we need to clean up this harbor, and he was an endless champion. It was quiet pride with him that it was accomplished. Now, what could be next, but unfortunately, ALS was next.
He was at my place wanting to tell me, but couldn't. He couldn't tell me. I wish he would have. I heard a week later, my sister told me, because my brother said he didn't know how to tell me. I knew about the disease, and I couldn't picture my brother having it. I couldn't picture my brother not being so physical.
While visiting Uteck, Barbetta has to leave early because his son is kicked out of summer camp, but Uteck consoles him.
He just grabbed my hand and he grabbed my wife Francie's hand and he looked at us with his peering eyes with water in them and he just said, he'll be fine. And we both just broke into tears because it typified some of the characters of Larry that people, don't see in his public persona.
As athletic director, Uteck's skills never wavered, something he proved when football coach Blake Nill faced suspension for criticizing Mount Allison's team.
I felt this kick on my leg. He had written something on the computer saying that there was a bylaw in the Constitution for the AUS that people were ignoring and that would come into play in this situation. And after a discussion, it was determined that Blake would not be suspended. And that would not have happened if Larry had not been there.
The last time I saw Coach Uteck, just saw a degradation of a great man that was so intense. I went down on a business trip. And I went down to Acadia to watch a game and saw Larry at the other end in a wheelchair. And he wanted to talk over my kids, my daughters. And so that was Larry. So, yeah, that's the last time I talked to him.
When the Huskies finally won a Vanier Cup in 2001, some players paid tribute to their former coach.
It was a huge deal, especially afterwards when the team came up and presented him with the trophy in the stands. Because he was in the wheelchair by then. He wasn't even the coach, right? He broke down. Yeah, it was very special.
I don't think anyone was more gratified than all of us players that played with him back in the late 80s, early 90s to see that finally happen, and it was a pretty special moment.
In the fall of 2002, Larry Uteck is named to the Order of Canada, just months before his death at age 50.
I think one of the things that Larry's life can teach people is that you can overcome adversity. You can dig deep and work to overcome hardships and betrayals. Larry always used to say, it's better to give than to receive. And I think that's a principle he lived by. And it's a good one.
He was already a hero when I met him in grade 9. He's playing for the football team. He always was a hero to me, right? Even though he's a friend.
I think they should remember him for his kindness. He's an extremely kind guy.
The Chris Flynn and Larry Uteck era at St. Mary's was a special time, one that will never be replicated.
You had to have everybody buy in. You had to make sure that people felt like they were part of the team. And both Chris and Coach Uteck had a way of doing that.
He would be the first in sprints, the first in our 12-minute run, the first in everything. He not only in the game got it done in practice, right? He always showed us offensively that, okay, I'm the leader. He's, a phenomenal athlete.
Uteck was a man of few words, but Andre Williams remembers their impact one day when he was dogging it at practice.
I can still hear his voice today. Coach Uteck, all he said was, "Come on, Andre." And at that point, I just knew that I met.
I'd like to think that our group of guys really set the foundation for a long time here about those values. Whether it was Chris or Billy Scholar to Coach Uteck, or I think it was the sum of our parts, when you have the passion that you can achieve it, and you are taught what ingredients and recipes you need to achieve it, you've just learned the life's most valuable lessons outside of football.
That brand of football that we brought to the city and into the country at that time, and with Chris, I don't think you'll ever see anything like that again. And quite frankly, there'll never be another Larry Uteck or Chris Flynn.
Flynn's final 3 years, the aura around the city, the atmosphere when they went on the road, the entertainment value, you know, all the games they won. It's the most entertaining sports team I've ever seen here in Halifax. Chris Flynn's the most entertaining athlete I've ever seen live. So there's no doubt in my mind that was a great team, championship or not.